Are you ready?
I am.
You're like, you already asked me that. Yeah, we do pre. Are you ready? John Peckman podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through One Set Light, start looking left. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the bell, listen after. Dave will tell you how to have more things. You're a podcast of your own. If you're waiting for me to ask you, don't wait. Come be on the show with me. Everybody's invited. And today we have Mr. Dan LaRosa is here, live and in person. I've known you, I don't know how long.
Many, many years.
I remember the first time I met you, but you may not. May I start there?
Please.
All right, you ready?
I am.
The first time I became aware of who you were, you had a paper bag on your head. Does this ring a bell? Does this sound?
No.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
I was playing at Faro Blanco on Marathon with T-Bone.
Yeah.
And we were playing a gig. We were there for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
On a random night, all of a sudden, there's a commotion. We're playing or something on the dance floor, and there's a guy on the dance floor stumbling around with a bag on his head.
That was me.
And we were all like, what's going on here? Like, it got a little edgy and out of control. And all of a sudden, the guy with the bag on his head stumbles towards the front of the stage, takes the bag off, and it was you, who had no idea. And the first words out of T-Bone's mouth were, "Oh no!" I don't know. That was it. I don't know what that meant. And he's like, he goes, yeah, it's Dan. I know him from Connecticut.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
Yeah.
And that was it was literally a reveal. You took the bag off, and it was you.
That is not the craziest revelation that I have had.
But can you imagine that?
Well, I remember slightly, but I remember in 1977 when the band started, we modeled ourselves after a group from Boston called the Corcoran Brothers.
Okay, hold on. The Coconuts. That's your band.
Oh, Coconuts Comedy Rocks, 46 years into it. Whoa. So these guys, they said, well, come and see us up in Boston. And we did, and we were backstage at a club, and they were playing on stage, three of them, two guitarists and a bass player.
Sure.
So I'm looking at them. I want to make a grand entrance to them. The audience can't see me. So, yes, I flashed.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this was back in the...
Oh, that's the crazy days of the 70s.
Wow.
And they laughed. They didn't lose it, but I think they missed a couple of notes. And
so you're into making an impression.
I used to be.
Used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess, did I catch the tail end of it? Or did you make any grand entrances after that? Or that was it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that I mellowed out in the 80s.
Bag was the end.
The bag was the end.
The bag.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So what were you? I don't remember. So I was in high school at the record show, on the road with T-Bone, and we played there. What were you doing there?
So
you remember? This was probably 1984.
Right. So T-Bone got us a gig there. We played there every year for several years in the wintertime.
Yep.
And in fact, I just saw T-Bone a couple of months ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
He calls me a couple times a year.
Does he? Yeah. And so we played there about 10 weeks out of each winter.
Oh, okay.
And for a young kid to play in the Florida Keys, you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Man, it was awesome.
Yeah. So were you playing after us? I don't remember.
I don't remember all the details.
But you were there
I was
for some
there.
reason. You were like, I'm going to crash.
You remember a guy named Lloyd that used to be, he was the kind of handyman. Always were
down there?
Yeah.
Older guy?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, yes.
I do.
We went out.
That's weird.
We went out on a boat one night. We went out in the bay side of the Keys, and we fell asleep. And the next thing I know,
you're in Cuba. You just drifted.
I thought we were going to Cuba. We were stuck on a sandbar, and he said, "We can't get out of here until the tide comes back." And I said, "How long is that?"
3 days.
Yeah. It felt like a month.
Oh, God.
Yeah, those were good days.
How long was it?
It might have been a few hours because we slept through the night.
Oh.
And he got stuck. And
so you get to pretend that you're shipwrecked, but you're not. You get the experience.
Yeah, we almost could have swam the half mile or whatever it was, but no, the good days in the Keys.
Yeah, so I had fun.
Heather and I, we love going to the Keys, and it's entirely different now.
Is it?
Oh, gosh.
I haven't been there.
Well, it's real commercial. It's real crowded. It's real expensive.
Oh, wow.
And the people that we used to know in the 80s, There were three kinds, really. Well, there's tourists. We
Yep.
played for the tourists.
Sure.
Then there were the jewelers and the other people that had like high-end stuff.
Right.
Then there were the fishermen,
Right.
and there were the drug dealers, and we were
Sure.
friends with all of them.
Sure. Yeah.
But we lost the friendship of the Chamber of Commerce one night.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because we did.
Because you streaked with a bag on your head like you combined them.
Are you the bag man? No, dudes. No. You know what we did? We were talking about why it was fun to play in marathon. Top 10 reasons.
Sure.
And we gave a few reasons, one of which was easy to find because of the fishermen all had beards.
Sure.
Easy to find enough guys for a ZZ Top look-alike contest.
Oh, boy.
That was number 2.
Yeah, sure.
Number 1 was the one that got us in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Marathon, Florida. The Kmart of the Keys.
Oh, no.
Because they had a Kmart.
Oh,
And
no.
the next day we got called into
They're like,
the
you gave
office.
us a bad rap.
Oh, it was terrible.
Where did you say this?
At Ferro Blanco,
Yeah.
in the lounge while we were performing, we did our top 10 reasons. We
Oh,
played
okay. At the
little comedy
gig.
every night.
So it's so
Yeah.
small that they heard about it.
Oh,
They're
they heard about it.
Oh, man.
And we heard it from them the next day. And we said, well, why don't you come back tonight? Oh, actually, here's what happened. We did the Kmart of the Keys on the one night. They heard about it and said, please don't call it that.
Sure.
The next night, we did top 10 reasons. And, of course, Kmart was number 1. And they didn't like that. But, after they saw the show, they said, we get it. You guys are
Yeah,
funny.
no one takes you seriously.
Nobody takes you seriously. You guys are funny. It was more like the kind of question you don't. It's like the kind of question you'd hear like when they would say, "You guys make a living at this?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Kind of.
sort of.
Yeah.
We have a passion.
Yeah.
Dave just brought me a water.
Oh, hey,
Coolest guy alive.
dude, I'm telling you, this is first class around here. Come to the John Peckman podcast. If you want water,
Water is
you
yours?
can. Yeah.
I want M&Ms without the red ones.
Oh, God. All right.
I'm in the Van Halen.
It's gonna take a
kick.
while.
Right now, I think it's Van Halen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, eventually, I guess we don't have to talk about that anymore. But eventually, that came to an end. Whatever happened, Faro Blanco?
Oh,
I
Ferro
wonder.
Blanco became condos.
Okay.
And when we drove down there 3 years ago, 2019,
Sure.
I said, you got to stop. This is where we played.
Yeah.
And I looked and I thought, oh, here they have what they call high rises, which are like 4 floors high.
Yeah. Sure.
It's the Keys. And so,
Well, that's good for them. I guess they probably cashed
Yeah,
out.
somebody
you get to
did
a point
well.
Where, yeah.
yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
But,
I wonder if there's any places to play there anymore. Are there? Like it used to?
well, not like it used to be. We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
doing places. We played at Sloppy Joe's a few times, which was
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
We played at a place up the road called Pineapples,
Okay.
and we played at Ferro Blanco. So
Yep.
we spent a lot of time in the Keys.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Why not?
Yep,
For the
fun.
winter.
Fun for the winter.
Yeah, I remember those. All right. That's cool. Well, take us. All right. Before we forget, because we don't get, because I don't know how, people watch the first 10 minutes and go,
Well, I'm going to save my best stuff for the very end.
Okay, good. All right.
Absolutely.
Good,
If they're
good.
not watching,
then
they'll
you don't
hear
get to
about it. They'll read about it in the papers, and they'll go, damn, I was so close.
No,
to
they'll
seeing
hear
it.
about the Chamber of Commerce. They'll come visit. Go, did you say?
Yeah.
So tell us what do you have? This should maybe, sometimes this might be up tomorrow. You never know. So if there's anything you want to talk about that you're doing now that you want to plug now, or tell us, you've seen the show. I mean, basically what you're doing now, and then we go back to the beginning. So tell us what you're doing.
So, believe it or not, as a stage hypnotist, which is how I made my living, I traveled the world. I was on the Nimitz, aircraft carriers, other aircraft carriers. I've been everywhere. I loved it. And a few years ago, I started getting really tired of it. And I kept telling my colleagues, I'm going to quit. I'm going to retire from, stage hypnosis.
Sure.
So that hasn't entirely happened. I'm doing a big convention this weekend for hypnotists. But what I love doing is playing with my little old band, Coconuts, Comedy Rocks, and we do a lot of, and people say, wow, you have such a playlist of songs. Right. Because when we started, we were playing for colleges, and those college people grew up with us. So the song remains the same.
I got you.
You don't have to change a whole lot.
That's cool.
It's great for us.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
So in the beginning, that you were playing new stuff, and now they like they hear it because it reminds them of. So
So
whole thing. That's cool.
we talked about our friend Tom T-Bone
Yeah.
Stankus.
Yep.
A great friend to me, great guy.
Gave me my start.
He's a good guy.
Yep.
So we were doing sort of what he was doing, playing the music of the day.
Sure.
And one night I broke a string at a gig. And so we didn't really want to have some dead air. So our lead singer is an actor. And he said, if any of you have ever seen Lon Chaney in The Wolfman,
Sure.
I'll show you how he did it. They did columns. They would stop the camera,
Sure.
do the makeup,
Yep.
and he'd come out the other side with makeup.
Yeah, sure.
He said, I'm going to do it all in front of you. And he had a beard, and he could do all these faces. So he just started off,
Yeah, more progressively.
more progressive. And then he did a little Frankenstein, and he did Dracula, because he can do the voices. He's got the voice.
Yeah, yeah.
So 2 months later, we came back to this same place. And after a while, a guy goes, do the monsters.
Yeah, right. But we're playing music
do
now.
Do the monsters. And we're like, what? Do the monsters. What is that? It's the last
funny.
time we were here.
You're like, just because I broke a string.
Because
like,
I broke
was it?
That's exactly that's the story we tell.
Wow.
I broke a string and we became,
Hey,
us.
whatever.
Yeah.
What is it? Necessity, the mother of invention.
The
or
mother of
whatever?
invention, yeah.
Okay.
Something had to fill that
If you
air.
never broke that, so let's imagine if that string had never broken,
Nope,
how different would your life be?
I would not be a hypnotist. I would not, because you know why?
And all those thousands upon thousands of people would have been unhypnotized by you.
There'd be a lot less chickens in the world. But I keep them that way because people tell me we need the eggs.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
So you know how?
Hey, that's something.
Here's how it started for me as a hypnotist.
That's crazy.
We were playing
So music first.
music first,
Wow.
and that was I will reveal my age at 73.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel pretty good
That's
for
cool.
that age.
Yeah, you should.
When I was 14, the date was February 9th, 1964,
Oh, hey.
on Ed Sullivan.
That's what they say.
And the next day, my friends and I bought guitars,
Sure.
and the three of us were real mals. A teacher called us that. You guys are a bunch of mals. You're like losers.
Mal. Wow.
Mal, like Mal.
Yeah, sure.
something
Malcolm.
Malcolm,
Yeah,
malcontent. I don't know. So
Oh,
we didn't
wow.
get invited to a lot of parties, and we didn't go to any football games, and we didn't go to.
This is in
date.
Middletown. You grew up
Oh
here.
no, Meriden.
Oh, Meriden. Okay.
Yeah, Maloney High School.
Oy.
Hey, and so we would play for an hour and a half on Saturday night, and one night somebody said, "We're having a little party. Do you guys
Sure.
play?" We knew two songs. Satisfaction was one of them.
Yeah, sure.
And we did that like 11 times.
You're like, we're at a party. Finally, where
It's
we
a
wanted
party.
to be.
Right where we want to be.
Yeah.
And
Killer.
yeah, and it was so good. And then eventually we started doing it full time.
Sure.
And that landed us a gig in Virginia Beach. And I
Hey.
saw a hypnotist show and I said, what
Wow.
the heck is this? And I tried to learn about it.
Wow.
And there's a whole long story that goes with it. But
That
it's
would have been
too
what
long
year?
1981.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
81.
So you didn't become a hypnotist till then.
81. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it about it? Was it
Well, if you want to know
like
the truth.
that you? Yeah, I'm just curious because
You
it's I'm never going to get to talk to it.
Well, here's why
Yeah.
I liked it. So in our band, we had stage names. Our lead singer, Johnny Eagle.
Sure.
The bass player, Salmonella. Parents
Sure,
didn't know it was
sure,
a
of course.
disease.
Yeah. Sure.
And because I was playing rhythm guitar with a lot of ricka-chicka,
Yeah.
I called myself Joe Beats.
Sure.
And we tried to do interactive with the audience,
Sure.
a lot of participation. And so when I saw this hypnotist, I said, I wonder if we could use that to get people more interested in our show.
Huh.
I mean, and we were gigging a lot back then, well over 200 shows a year because
Wow.
18-year-olds could drink.
Right. Right.
And we were out 7
good
nights
old
a
days.
week. So those were for
Yeah.
bands.
Sure. Sure.
A little different these
Yeah.
days.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely.
So I heard about this hypnotist. I didn't realize this guy was from India.
Oh boy.
And I thought, yeah, because back in 81, very few were here in this country.
Sure. Right.
And when I met him in person after spending $500 for the course, I thought, no, man, this is not going to work for me. This guy can't do anything.
Wow.
But he hypnotized me that night.
Whoa.
And the other people in the room were
You were a
looking.
chicken. Instantly.
Well,
Anyway.
I'm not sure if I was a chicken. These other people in the room, the other students, there were 6 of us, they were looking at me like Amish people at Best Buy. Oh, man. And I was like, what? And they said, don't you know what just happened? And I said, no, nothing.
Yeah.
And I found out that night I was hypnotized.
Whoa.
I became a fan of the field. I became a fan of my teacher. And because he was from India, he introduced me to America isn't the only model in the world. He didn't say it that way, but I got it.
Yeah, yeah.
And next thing I know, when the band broke up because somebody got married, these things happen. I don't want to talk about who it was. But
doesn't matter.
Anyway, so he said, I got to quit the band for a while, guys. Right. And
you hypnotized him into staying.
Nope. No. I mentioned it to a club that we were working at. We had a weekly Monday night gig. And I told the owner, can't do it after a couple of more weeks because he's quitting. So, yeah, he said, but what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to be a hypnotist. And he said, good, you'll start in 2 weeks.
Oh, hey,
no.
That's how this podcast happened. He's like, you start next week.
Really?
Oh, what? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's great. And
yeah, just get you in gear.
You get you in gear. You don't have to be ready for it. You just have to show up, you know?
You're like, I got to get my show together.
I did. I said that. I took notes.
Yeah, yeah.
I wrote them all down like a set list.
Yeah, yeah.
And I put them over to the side where the water was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was really thirsty. I'd go over and I'd look down and say, okay, now I do this.
Now the chicken. Now Michael Jackson, whatever.
I used to do Michael Jackson, but I didn't start doing chickens until the last few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. I always avoided that because it's such a cliche.
So, all right, let me back up.
Sure.
I'm just curious. So when you saw this hypnotist way back when, you of all people, you ever wonder, like, why? Because everybody else saw that show and no one said, I want to do that. I guess we don't question these things, right?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, you took something from it.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I got to back up a little bit, and this might get a little bizarre for some of your listeners, but here's the story.
Uh-oh.
When I was in Virginia Beach, I was asking the people, we had a 10-week gig at this club. And I said to the folks, is there anything that's interesting that's not miniature golf and water and sand?
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned a fellow named Edgar Casey.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So you know Edgar Casey?
I do, yeah.
So I said at that time...
The Sleeping Prophet.
Exactly. Oh, you do know.
I'm...
You know a little bit, yeah.
I'm kind of esoteric in my own funny little way, yeah.
So I said, my first thought was, she asked me if I had heard of Edgar Casey, and I thought, you mean like Casey and the Sunshine Band? Yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, sure.
She goes, no, he's like a fortune teller. I said, what?
Yeah.
I'm interested. And I went out there, and I read his cases, and for your listeners, he could go into trance, diagnose disease, and also prescribe the cure.
Yep.
And I was 31 years old, and I wasn't skeptical about anything, so I believed it.
Sure.
And I'm glad, because later in my career, I would tune into sort of those feelings, like, is this the right path? And it's always worked out.
Wow.
It's always worked out.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, all right, that's really interesting. This is just a sidebar out of my own curiosity. The original stage hypnotist that you saw, how similar did your act become?
Well, there were two people I modeled after. He was one.
Okay.
His name was Sam Vine. Lots of people knew him. He passed 25, 30 years ago.
Okay.
And he did a very straight kind of a show, very serious.
Sure.
And then I saw a fellow who did an R-rated show.
Okay.
And he was very famous in New England, Frank Santos. He was a friend. He passed 10, 15 years ago, And I said, boy, between what Frank does and what this guy does. Right. Or sometimes R, but not to the extent that Frank did it and not the same way that Sam. So I took their ideas and went out and started doing it.
A little bit of coconuts flair or whatever.
Well, not so much.
Oh.
One night I thought, you know what? I had an agent, Boston Comedy, and he said to me, you should try to come up with a different angle.
Yeah.
I said, well, I play guitar. And he goes, well, bring that out. And I did. And I was like, it was so hard to handle that I just said, forget about it.
Yeah, because it interrupted the flow.
Yeah, interrupting the flow.
On, off. Yeah.
When I started in hypnosis, I used cassettes for my music.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Each cassette had one song, one routine,
Sure.
and I had 3 copies of each in case something happened.
Sure.
And
you just had them all lined up.
Had them all lined up, and I would tell the DJ or whomever, here's the next song to play.
Yep.
And I did a lot of shows down at the Navy base in that area down in Groton.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And that was really cool, and that's where I got my creds, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
You remember your first gig?
I do.
Were you successful?
Yes.
You hypnotized people?
Yeah. I was.
Did you know
away.
you were gonna?
No.
I'm saying, can you imagine if you're like, I'm loading in, I'm the dude, and then you get there and you're like, oh no, I can't do this.
Listen, that's happened a million times.
Really?
You go there.
Did you ever done a gig where no one?
Once.
I'm just curious.
No, that's a good question. I did a show where 2 people sort of got hypnotized, but it wasn't deep enough to do anything. And so I apologized to the audience. I said, look, I'm really sorry.
This does happen.
It does happen, but I've done over 4,000 shows, and most of them were really good. And I'm not bragging.
I've seen it. No, I've seen it. I've been a subject of it, which we'll get into at some point.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you ever, but you never show it. You ever sweating it? Or you always sweating it? Or you feel confident enough, you're like, I got this. I can hypnotize anybody.
It's like a duck on the water. It looks calm, and underneath the legs are paddling. I was like,
wow.
I hated myself. The second show I did sucked, and it was terrible. And the guy that I was working for, one of the great mentors in my life, Dave Waddington, hats off to that man. So I'm backstage in his office, and I said, I hate this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to try to get a job back at the shoe store. I think I could still do that. I don't want. And he said, what are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, that show was no show. That was terrible. That's history. What are you talking about now? That's over with. Let's think about next week. And he kept getting my head out of my head.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just kept telling me, like, just be in this moment. He didn't say it that way, but that's what he meant.
Yeah, yeah.
And I followed him. I believed him.
And so what was the third show was better?
And from that point on, it was very good. The third show, a server dropped a tray of glasses.
In the middle.
Right in the middle. In the induction. After, it's okay. But when you're like, and now take a deep breath.
Okay, so induction is...
Yeah, the hypnosis part.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. And so when that's happening, you've got to have some quiet.
Yeah, sure.
So when that fell, everybody looked at me like, uh-oh. And I thought, and I didn't know either. It was my third show. But after that, most of them went really, really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's always got to be some wise ass yelling out. You got to be able to work through. Like you're never going to get complete silence.
I'll tell you 2 very quick stories about that. But
yeah.
Because there have been wise asses in the audience.
There's always going to be.
It happens. I kind of learned how to handle it.
I'm sure.
But one time I was out in California, a friend of mine, Dean Newberry. I don't know if you know him or not. Dean is in Gary Burr's circle of friends.
He was just here.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, Gary's a good friend, and I spent time with him. But Dean Newberry was in California. He said, I'd like you to come out and do a show for me in California. What'll it take? I said, a flight.
Yeah.
A place to stay, some food, maybe a couple of bucks.
Yep.
Got it. You got it. So I'm doing a show. It's like 400 people. It wasn't just me.
Oh, boy.
It was a variety show.
Oh, boy.
And in the front row on the side was about 40 or 50 Hell's Angels.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And at first I thought, oh, my God.
So they're going to make it their mission to mess your show up.
I thought, but they're not.
Okay.
You know what happened? 3 of them got hypnotized. And they were, and
now they're upright citizens. They're perfectly.
Well, I don't know about that, but this is what I do know. I was doing my R-rated show, and I did something about, I don't know who your listeners are, but I would sort of tell people I was naked. It was funny because it was tiny, it was big.
Sure.
So one of the guys in the show, Hell's Angel, pulled down his pants, and he said, "Here's mine."
Oh no.
And then people on the other side of the room were, "Get off the stage, you bums," this and that.
Yeah.
But a few minutes later, maybe a half a dozen of the Hell's Angels at the table got up. They walked over. I don't know what they said, but that whole group of irate hecklers, they left quietly. And after the show, the Angels were like, "Man, your show was great.
Wow.
You stay with us. You can party." Oh,
so you're a Hell's Angel now. They said, we're going to initiate you.
I
Tonight. You drink goat's blood, and we drag you along.
And you do all of this stuff. No, that's the witch's coven. That's a different story.
Right. That was another gig. Different gig.
But it was a good night. Except, and I'm glad. I said, "Gee, I'd like to stay, but I've got to get to the airport, and I'm driving up to San Fran tonight."
Sure. Wow.
So
hey, that's cool.
It was a good night.
Yeah.
I lived.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. So
like
you got
Harry Potter, the boy who lived.
Hey, man.
Amen.
Got him on your side.
Yeah.
There's got to be stagecraft to you're confident enough so do you think that playing music for those years gave you the confidence as a performer? You can kind of roll that into. Can you imagine how hard it is for some people that they want to get into stage hypnosis but have no stage experience?
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
That is not a
probably why you're great at it, right? Because you're entertainer first.
Yes, that's
you know what I mean? Yeah. Kind of cool.
Here's a little known fun fact, but I failed public speaking twice in college.
Imagine that.
And I needed it to graduate.
Ooh.
And in the summer class, the teacher said, "I don't know what it is. I know you get really scared. I got sick."
Yeah.
And she said, "But you come to my office and you can read the speech to me," because I needed it to be a teacher.
Sure.
And so I did it, and I was still scared. And it was the first few gigs I did with the band were horrible. Our bass player was totally sick. He left in the middle of like the second song to get sick in the bathroom. That's where we came from.
Yeah.
But two really amazing things happened. One was that string breaking, which meant we started working a lot because nobody was doing comedy and music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, T-Bone kind of
did. He was, we were a little bit more off the wall than him.
Yeah, sure.
We were doing takeoffs on the big hit series called Roots.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're too young for that, but Roots was a wonderful series on slavery.
Sure.
So we did Ruts about a Swedish boy that was enslaved.
Right.
Forced to, I don't know what, he had to drive a Volvo. And that
right. Yeah, not so bad.
Stuff.
Yeah,
people, I don't know why. They liked it,
Yeah.
And
cool.
so the second thing that happened really was the fact that I started meeting people that were encouraging me and coaching me.
Yeah.
And so one of them was this guy, Dave Waddington.
So is there like a guild or?
The National Guild of Hypnotists.
Oh, really?
That's where I'm going this weekend for my 38th convention.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there are resources.
Yes.
Wow.
And now, back then, there was nothing because no internet. You didn't know anything about anyone.
So you just found them or you didn't?
You found or you didn't.
Wow.
And I was lucky, as I said, I saw Frank Santos was a real influence to me.
He helped you directly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would talk to him after shows. He knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I actually, I owe a lot of my career to him, but there was a whole bunch of others. And if you ask people, oftentimes they'll help you.
Yeah, sure.
And I was meeting them, and then I was really very shy about being on stage. But then someone said, "You should go to Toastmasters." And what's that? So Toastmasters, well, it's a public speaking self-help group.
Okay.
And you start off with the simplest thing in front of a bunch of people. You say, "Hi, my name is Dan LaRosa." "Hi, Dan, welcome." Almost like AA without the booze.
Right.
And they teach you step by step how to write, construct, and speak. So yeah. And it's free. It's like $2 dues or $10.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So you can kind of work it out.
Yes.
Get your chops together.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you're such a natural, it seems like, right? Like you say, it's the duck.
I was a mal in high school. The mals were, this is how it sounded in high school.
So in your mind,
I really was a loser.
Wow.
The Beatles wrote that song. John Lennon wrote that song. And I said, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
I'm a loser. I was told that. I believed it. That's why now in my hypnosis practice and in every show I've ever done, I always...
Self-esteem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but that's it. I try to help people to feel good about themselves.
Yeah. I do the same thing with teaching kids. You know what I mean? It's like
I know you do.
Yeah.
I saw the look on the students that came out.
Oh, yeah?
And she was beaming.
Oh, good.
What was she, 8 or 9, 10 years old, something like that?
Yeah.
She was just ear to ear grin on her face.
Good. Well, you know how it is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, kids are smart. But you tell them they're smart too.
Yes.
You know, and then they think they're smart. They don't want to disappoint you. So they try harder to keep up with what you, that's
What we call conversational hypnosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a hidden, embedded little suggestion.
Yeah. I do it out of instinct.
Well, yes. Many of us do. Some don't.
Yeah.
Many of us do.
Huh.
But there's a title for it, conversational.
Hey.
Yeah.
Is there so are you ongoing education with hypnosis, or are you just like you got your thing together and you're kind of up and running?
A little bit of both.
Uh-huh.
So here's the deal with the learning more and more stuff.
Yeah.
It's how many different ways can you play Wipeout?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And do you need to do the? I know nothing about the drums.
Sure. No, that's fine.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's people that you got to learn this new style here. It's $1,500.
And you're like, I already know this.
Why would I need that? Everything else has worked.
I know what you mean.
Oh, this is the best way to do it.
Dude, I'm making a living doing this. You should be asking me how to do this.
Well, listen, I'm going to admit something here. A lot of people would agree with this.
Hey.
We never considered ourselves musicians, okay?
Right.
Entertainers.
Sure.
And there were times when I know that people were looking and cringing and going, they didn't just miss that note. They missed the whole passage of chords. And if they said it to us, I would say, yeah, but I enjoyed you being in the audience. You pay that $5 cover charge.
Right.
I know you've been in some major league bands.
No.
You are a musician.
Apparently,
okay.
Yeah,
you
more
are.
than an entertainer, I would say.
But if you can't, if you got to have, you have to have a gig. You have to have a piece of stick, something that works.
Sure.
And for us, it was, we're doing songs about McDonald's. Man. And how do you make a dirty song about McDonald's? And we prayed that we'd get sued.
Yeah, right. That would be good.
That would have been a good thing.
Yeah.
That never happened, so we dropped it.
Well, it's never too late.
No, we could try.
I think people are more legit. You might have a better shot now than ever. You never know. Wow.
Mickey D's, yeah.
So then they just became, so did the Coconuts, I lost track. Were you doing both, or you just were like, okay?
No, when the lead singer quit.
Oh, okay, right.
All right, so I did a whole bunch on my own.
Uh-huh.
And I was really happy because I never had arguments with anybody.
Sure.
I never had to worry about what next.
Right.
And one place led to another. So I'm at this lounge in Groton, or I forget the town, but down by the sub base.
Sure.
And a kid asked me, hey, we want you to come to our college, man.
Right.
I was thinking,
you're hilarious.
With the band?
Yeah,
with
sure.
the band? And he said, no, the hypnotist show. They have a hypnotist show at colleges? Yeah.
They do now, just because I said that.
Well, I didn't know, man. And I said, okay,
Wow.
yeah. Well, what's the budget? And when he told me the price, and it was so much more than the band, I said,
when do you, when's the gig
you
start?
Want to do it tonight? And then, here's the cool thing about colleges. The students graduate, and some go and become teachers, so they bring you to their schools.
So there's a
and some go to corporate. So I was doing corporate stuff in Mexico and Puerto Rico.
Oh.
I was going by myself.
Wow, yeah, sure.
My bag, magicians say, Pax Light plays big, or Pax Small plays big.
Okay.
Meaning a deck of cards can take you around the world.
Okay.
Well, all I had was cassettes and eventually a CD.
Yeah. Wow, that's it.
And then an iPod.
That and skills. That's it.
Well, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but that was.
Wow. So you're like, this is the way for me.
Yeah.
You say, you could make more money, one person, don't have to argue with anyone. You just be there.
Yeah, and I really honestly loved all the shows I did.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time with the kids after the shows.
Sure.
People would, I did shows on the Nimitz and other aircraft carriers. Man, that was the bomb.
Man,
that was a bad word, but that was. I loved being on it. And the first time I was on the Nimitz, I was just getting into my rack because I was supposed to do just one show, and then they asked me to do more and more. I did 4 in that 6-day cruise. So I was getting ready to take an afternoon nap because they wanted the late show for the crew that was, off duty. All of a sudden, the alarm goes off. I'm thinking, what the heck? And they told me, if that happens, you have to go to this muster station.
Okay.
So I go up there, and all these sailors are gathered there. They're, doing a roll call. And I asked, what's going on? Man overboard, sir. What? a man overboard.
And you're in the middle of the ocean?
We're in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, my God.
So here's what happened next. It took the ship 1.5 miles to stop because it's going very fast. But in the meantime, with less than 2 minutes, I loved this. 2 choppers up in the air and 6 rafts lowered down.
Yeah.
They all went where that man was, and they rescued him in less than maybe 7 minutes.
Whoa.
You know?
Wow.
And I was like, I was crying.
Yeah. No, that's heavy.
So amazing.
Whoa.
So that man got hurt, but he didn't die.
Yeah.
And he got discharged,
Crazy.
but he had a life still.
Yeah.
So
He just fell.
Yeah. Well, no, he was actually, they dump the food garbage for the fish.
Yeah.
And you're in a harness.
Oh.
And you get done. You go back to your whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody came and said, I'm sorry, I'm late. I got to dump this. So instead of going through the whole harness, the guy said, yeah, just dump it.
And he lost his balance.
He went in with a 60 feet drop, 60
Oh.
feet into the water.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Into the chum that the fish are showing up for.
Yeah, well,
You're surrounded by fish.
And who knows what those fish were, but
Oh, man.
those 6 crews that went out there.
And that's it. You're like, just man overboard signal and let's.
They went to work.
Yeah. They just boom.
It's like when the band says, okay, drummers lead the band. We all know that.
Yeah,
So when the drummer calls it out,
yeah.
everybody's right on that beat.
So how far
what
did
they
the
did.
boat get? Like, because they're moving, right? So
1.5 miles.
Whoa.
It took 1.5 miles to stop. And because I asked everybody afterwards, how long was this?
Yeah.
I asked questions like, you could see the 6 destroyers and other ships around the Nimitz.
Yeah.
But I knew there had to be a submarine.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow.
I asked a question, how many subs are down there? We don't know, sir.
Yeah.
Or are there any? We don't know. And it was kind of a glint in their eyes.
Yeah.
They knew, but nobody, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah, I
wonder if that dude knew. Do they know that, like, they're going to find me when he fall? I wonder if when he fell over, if he just thought, that's it, I'm dead.
I don't know about that, but
wow, that's
you know what?
crazy.
It was the most amazing thing.
That's wild. That's really wild.
Incredible. Changed my thinking about everybody.
This is a weird, bizarre question. Do people with military training, are they more difficult to hypnotize?
You're asking really great questions.
Really? No,
yeah, that's
curious.
a great question.
I just wondered.
I've done a lot of military shows. I did a show. I did 15 tours of Europe for
wow.
American Navy bases, Italy and Spain. I went everywhere.
Wow.
And military is easier.
Really?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Is that good or bad?
Well, it's good because, you don't want to go, 3,000 miles and nobody got hypnotized.
Oh, okay. For the
Here's
gig.
why it's good. So here's any stage hypnotist listening will know this is true. But when you're going to hypnotize someone, you look for what's called compliance. Are they, if you say to somebody, stand over here, please, and they're reluctant, or if they resist.
Right.
So in the military, what do they get training to do?
Right.
Take
what
a seat
they're
over
told.
here, please.
Yeah.
Right away.
So it takes away so that's what you're doing. You're reading. As soon as you figure out who can I.
Well, I do a thing.
That makes it harder.
I'm teaching it this weekend, and I call it, first you hypnotize them, then you hypnotize them. Here's what that means. I've never worked with anybody that was pre-hypnotized. I work with a general size audience. If there's 10 people, pray. If there's 1,000, piece of cake. So you do tests.
Okay.
And it's a funnel. And everybody's at the top of the funnel,
Sure.
right? And then the best and the best and the best. So.
And you're assessing it the whole time.
Oh,
so that
I'm watching carefully.
Core. Yeah.
And then I asked for volunteers. But I just trained 2 stage hypnotists, and they're working college markets. They're doing very well. And I said, and I taught them, when they're on stage, there's one last test that you have to do. And it's the arm becomes like a steel bar. They can't bend their arm.
Sure.
Okay? And you'll know. And I said, well, how will we know? Because you go over and you can kind of put your fingers in the crook of the elbow there, and a little pressure makes it bend, okay?
Oh, I see. Like a reflex.
But if they're hypnotized, that arm doesn't move. You could do this and that. They can't bend it. And that's when you know it's real.
Right.
And then by that time, they're already in trance.
Wow. So some people, they're kind of jiving you to a degree.
Not just so. Yeah, there's been a few.
Wow.
So
So you're psyched. That's jackpot. When you hit someone's arm and it doesn't move, you're like,
when there's 10 or 12, you're like,
this is going to be a great show.
Great night tonight.
Hey.
But what I used to say with the wise guys, I would say to the audience, there's one way you can tell if somebody's really hypnotized. And I'd go to the one that everybody's pointing.
Yeah.
But I knew it already.
Yeah.
And I'd say, all you have to do is slap them on their face. They won't feel any pain at all. I mean, it's hard. You can do it as hard as you like. And I would clap my hand real loud.
Yeah.
And you'd see the person get nervous. They'd open their eye. They'd grin, and I'd say, I'm sorry, did I wake you?
Yeah.
And joke, and I'd say, well, I appreciate it, but I got to send you back. So
next.
they would fake, but,
Wow.
very, very few.
Wow. So you got all those devices, the funnel.
You got your techniques.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. That's really interesting. Yes, I would never have these conversations. So anyway, because the military, so that funnel is taken away from you because they're easily led. So then you got to go deeper, right?
No. The military was easy. Colleges and military are the easiest. Very easy because, first of all, college kids, first time away from home.
Sure.
Man, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And they're explorative. They want to know things.
Sure.
So they're not resisting.
Right.
Now, adults are tough, but I've done a lot of adult shows. And
so the more malleable you are or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. And also, are you skeptical?
Right.
Are you going to resist? Who's this guy to tell me what to do? That kind of thing. So
yeah.
I figured out how to do it. So do all hypnotists that do what I do.
Wow. Are they? All right. Are they all do you feel like all the hypnotists come to the same conclusions in your method?
No.
I
do a very rapid induction. Wow. From the moment I get out on stage,
you're already working it.
It's working, and not only that, a band will do the best song near the end, and everybody's like, "Oh man, gotta have more." Well, I get to that point really early in the sense that I know, and it's something that took me a long time to learn, but I know when they're really genuine and that they're there to have a good time. Mm-hmm. Plus, I have my little foolproof tests. So, you know what? Every time I went out there to do a show, I learned something new, and I thought, wow, I have to remember this. So here's something that happened. This is true.
Okay.
The dark side. Okay? It does happen that sometimes, now I've had 4,000 shows, and this has happened 3 or 4 times. Somebody has a bad reaction. It's called the abreaction or cathartic experience.
Okay.
So they're holding trauma.
Oh, okay.
And it's so deep.
You trigger them somehow.
Yeah, well, it releases.
Yeah.
And when they release, we become emotional.
Oh, wow.
But one time this girl she wasn't even hypnotized. She was in the audience.
She was just triggered by the whole thing.
Well, she was triggered, and but she actually spontaneously got hypnotized at the end.
Whoa.
Which that never happens in my show. But it did. And I asked her what was going on. It was a high school show. I went back a couple days later, and she said, my mom passed away 2 months ago. This was the first night I just felt so relaxed. I was laughing.
Yeah.
I just let all these emotions out. So that was an abreaction, a cathartic experience. She felt good. Her dad was very happy that I drove to see him.
Yeah. You just want to make sure you didn't shake something loose.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So that's happened like 3 times in 35 years. Not too bad.
Wow. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to ask this question because I don't know if it's a trade secret or whether it's because I don't even know how to talk. Is this mystical or scientific or both?
Both.
Okay.
And the third thing would be artful.
Okay.
So I tell people it's the art and science of hypnosis.
Okay.
Science is a body of knowledge.
Okay.
So here's the knowledge. If I say to someone, take a deep breath and begin to notice that this is happening, there's a million other hypnotists, and there's not that many in the world, but they would also be talking about breath work and notice how your until now you haven't even noticed it, but notice how your left foot feels right now? See, you're calling attention to that.
Yeah.
So as you do that,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of the trance.
Okay.
We're not doing it here.
Yeah, sure.
But the point is, that's the science part.
Okay.
The art part is the part that adds the beauty to it. Like, how do you structure a routine?
Mm.
So I used to love to do magic carpet ride.
Oh,
I
yeah.
still use it.
Yeah.
Kids in this generation, of course, I'm not doing these shows anymore, but kids would not necessarily know Steppenwolf.
Right.
But you know
Right.
what?
Right.
Music is incidental to the show. It's for the audience. The
Sure.
volunteers,
Sure.
when I've had audio equipment go bad, I would, for example, the Hawaiian hula, I would say
Sure.
to the audience, hey, do this for me. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
I say, they don't care about that. I was doing ballet without music.
Yeah.
They were dancing to it.
Yeah.
And people say, do they really know ballet? No, but here's the truth. If they've seen it, it's in their memory. And in hypnosis, the memory is almost 100% perfect. Almost.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you're accessing a different
Yeah.
level of...
And the mystical part of it. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Because the mystical part, is there a higher power? I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a power within us, it's subconscious, and some people use it like Carlos Castaneda.
Sure.
You know?
Yep.
So maybe they used magic mushrooms or peyote or silicon or valley or whatever it was. But, you know, the point is you could do the same thing almost with your mind.
Sure.
And what do you connect with? Maybe that mystical, uber physical, beyond physics.
Yeah. Whatever.
I've had experiences like that.
Sure.
And I have to be convinced, but they've been my own personal experiences. And I think
outside of the physical.
Outside of the physical.
Yeah, sure.
Very mystical.
Wow. Far out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy. I don't want to run out of time. This is really fascinating, actually. But I don't want to run out. I will say that you hypnotized me one time at a gig, and it was weird.
I know.
It freaked me out a little bit.
I know it did.
It was interesting.
I know what happened exactly.
Do you?
I wanted to tell you all the details. If you want me to.
Maybe. I do realize I wanted the attention, because you do get attention. It must be part of the gig. You're special when you're everyone's looking at you. And,
you remember the band you were playing with?
Yeah. I was playing with 8 to the Bar.
8 to the Bar.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. You were at the Foxwoods.
And Cynthia was like, do it.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of got pushed, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think your first set, you might have been either off or super high or super something.
It freaked me out.
It freaked you out. You wanted to take a little break, or somebody did.
Yeah.
And then we went off. And
you gave me a booster.
I gave you a booster, and you went back there. And you know how they say, oh, man, you should have seen Miles Davis in 56 at the Hungry Tiger. Yeah. You should have seen John Peckman that night. Man.
Oh, really?
Oh, you were amazing.
I
never forgot that.
Yeah. I kind of remember, and
you were amazing.
I remember the experience. But
here's what I remember. This really was the first time I saw you, I think, playing with 8 to the Bar. Okay.
Yeah.
And after that, I might have seen you a few more times, because we were both working.
Yeah.
Nights.
I mean, we crossed paths here.
But I remember that night, I was thinking, wow, that's 8 to the Bar. That's the drummer. That's that guy. And that's why I've known you and been a fan all these years, because you're the guy.
Thank you. Hey, you hear that? Hey, that's cool. That's cool.
Forget about it.
But yeah, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It kind of freaked me out a little bit, just kind of like, I don't really understand what happened.
Well, let me give you just a couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
So the unhypnotized mind is like a light bulb.
Okay.
Light bulb, like these lights in this room.
Sure.
They scatter light, but they're just a little bit there. Take that same power, put it into a laser. You could bore through this wall. You could shoot a beam to the moon. You could do surgery. That's what happens when someone gets hypnotized. So the least little thought. And that's why anyone that ever sees my show, I'm always telling them, you feel great. You are somebody, because it comes in a million times stronger. And you were you're already at this high level.
Yeah.
You're playing a great gig. You're excited.
Yeah.
Now you're beyond that. You're like on the moon. It's like, come on, everybody, catch up with me.
I don't even
remember. So good.
That I don't remember. Yeah. But wow.
Well, I know you don't do things like mushrooms and stuff like that. And I don't. But people who've done acid trips tell me, I've never experienced anything like that. It was like I was in a different world. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember, but yeah, but
It was a good night.
It freaked me out a little bit.
It should.
It was cool.
I know it did.
Yeah, it was good though.
And that was part of the reason that thereafter I always made sure at the end of a gig.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't know. I've never hypnotized a musician just before they're going on.
Yeah.
So that was new to
risky.
Me. It was risky.
Yeah.
And thank you for your faith.
Hey.
And thanks Cynthia for pushing you.
Yeah. She's probably sweating it.
Yeah.
I know.
What's going to happen now?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
That's a precise band, man.
Oh yeah. No, that was my that was definitely one of them, or the longest.
How young were you when you were doing that?
I probably joined them when I was probably 22 or 21 or 22.
Yeah.
And that was. I mean, there were a couple of boot camps in my life. That was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
The one that was at the
working
longest.
band.
They were a working band.
Yeah.
And you had to.
Yeah.
You had to keep it together.
You had to.
I don't want to run out of time.
Okay.
You know what's coming. What order?
Hypnotize Dave?
Yeah. Oh man, that would be great. Man. Yeah, that would be something. Favorite desert island albums?
Well,
does it go like that or no?
I love when you write about them. In fact, you turn me on to a lot of musicians.
Really? Oh,
yes,
good.
you do.
Hey.
I go out and I listen to them. I say, okay,
cool.
And I try to figure out, what does John like about these guys? What about that?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, for me, it's the Beatles are way up at the top.
Yep, number one.
But I'm wearing my NRBQ shirt.
Number two.
And like the Rolling Stones said, best bar band ever. We go.
No argument here.
Man, I'll tell you, we just saw them 2 months ago up at Infinity 6 weeks ago.
And they're really good.
Oh,
I like that. Man. I like, nothing will be the magic for forever, but I like the new NRBQ.
Oh, so do I.
So
do I. And when we first...
They need me on drums.
Well, you know what? Here's a story about drummers.
Uh-oh.
You got to be young. You got to have energy. That's you.
Well, I don't know about... See me lately?
I'm looking at you now. You look pretty good.
Wow.
You got to be young and you got to have energy because the drums lead the band.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Desert island food.
Oh, for me, I've been really working on cleaning up my diet the last few years. So I gave up a lot of the pastas and things. Yep. I lost 40 pounds during COVID. Who does that? I was a real big old... I'm a fat boy now, so I'm not shaming anybody.
Whatever.
But I was a lot bigger. And so what we do now is we eat a lot of healthy stuff.
Yep.
And I love to cook, but I now cook simple stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's
Fine.
survival. It's not, we don't
eat
to live.
Sure.
We eat to live, not live to eat.
I'm kind of the same way. Yeah.
But I do like my pizza. And I was thinking to myself, there's 3 great shops in Middletown that I like. Is there anyone around here?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Next door's not bad.
Yeah.
A couple doors down.
Oh.
I don't know Portland the way he does.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, Rendezvous is my all-time favorite.
Oh, yeah.
They're in Meriden.
Yep.
I go there every 3 months because I don't want it more than that too much.
That's the place. Yeah, that's the place around there. Yeah, far out. Most, if you could think of most mind-blowing, like live show that you ever saw that stuck in your mind,
Well, all right. So, look at the different ages.
Oh yeah.
So the first concert I ever saw was the Rolling Stones at the New Haven Arena.
Wow, yeah.
And one of the coolest things ever, as we all know, Bill Wyman, he played that bass and he didn't move.
Yeah, sure.
He just stood right there. And a girl got up on stage and came up and hugged him and kissed him. And they didn't really have security.
Yeah, right.
Like these days.
Sure.
So she was up there for a while. He didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how he did it. But a mind-blowing experience was, Dave Biro? Dave Biro, the Birotron?
No.
Well, real quick story for you. Dave Biro invented a thing called the Birotron. It worked on 8 tracks, so it could reproduce sounds.
The Mellotron.
The Mellotron.
Similar.
Way vast improved.
Yep. Wallingford.
That's right.
That's right.
And a year later, unfortunately, a guy named Robert Moog came along and made the synthesizer.
Sure.
But one night, Dave said to us, I'm going down to Pennsylvania to hang out with Rick Wakeman was his partner. You guys want to go?
Whoa.
What, to see Yes?
Yeah, sure.
We hung out with,
Yeah.
And John Anderson was here on my right.
Whoa.
And Donovan Leach on my left. He was opening for them at that time.
Yeah.
And Rick Wakeman, Steve Howe didn't hang out too much with us. He was more a quiet guitar player. That night, we're sitting in a Holiday Inn, 19, whatever the year was. No cell phones.
Yep.
The guy at the bar says, I'm going to bring the phone over, Mr. Anderson. A call from England.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Who calls back then?
Yeah.
So we hear him, and he's, oh, no. Oh. And we're all sitting here, and he says, Robert Plant's son just died.
Holy crow, you were there when the phone call. I was there
when he got the phone call.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we saw them at the New Haven Arena and partied with them afterwards. That was cool.
Whoa.
It was really cool. I had crappy seats,
Sure.
Maybe they cost $6 instead of 10.
Yeah. You imagine.
But I remember seeing.
And you didn't even have $6.
I was rough. Like a young kid. So I saw the sound man from their rehearsal. We got to see them rehearse.
Yeah.
They're going through this perfect version of Roundabout, and all of a sudden they stopped. Oh, we got to do that this way. I'm like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. It sounded perfect.
So the sound man's name was Snoopy.
Okay.
And when I got to the New Haven Arena, I saw him. I yelled, Snoopy!
Yeah.
Dan! British, of course. Come on down. And I sat at the sound table with...
Perfect.
Yeah. And then afterwards hung out with all those guys.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good enough.
We opened up for NRBQ.
Yeah.
Many, many times.
I bet.
They actually asked us, and I'm sorry we didn't do it, to actually open for them on the road.
Oh, wow.
But the money was, we'd have to pay to go. So we said no. But they liked us. We liked them.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It was very cool.
Is that guy at Birotron, is he still around?
Byro. Dave Byro.
Dave Byro.
He's in Florida.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That would be something. Imagine.
Well, he only made 20 of these Byrotrons.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, he said, can you get me a Byrotron? I said, I can find out. So I did a little research for him, and Dave has 2 left, and he's not selling them. But one sold for $20,000.
Yeah, right. Sure.
It's a collector's item. My friend said, I'd pay that. He's got some money.
Wow.
But the Dave is around.
That would be amazing. Can you imagine having him tell his story?
Well, unfortunately, Dave was our sound man. So here's what's really cool about that. We were out playing with Dave and his Byrotron.
Yeah.
Which can duplicate symphonies and violins. So we were the only group around that I knew of that was playing A Day in the Life.
Yeah, right.
With all that.
Yeah, you just got it in there.
Anybody could do that now, but we were the only band. And we did all kinds of stuff that required symphonies.
Yeah.
And he was doing it with his Byrotron. People were blown away.
That's great.
Yeah,
he had the right idea.
Yeah. Smart man.
He would have to be.
Yeah, he was a smart guy.
Wow. Crazy. All right, we got to go. We're going to run out of time. I wish that we weren't. Come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're at that point where we can have returns. That was really interesting. I'm glad we did this.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
I had a great time.
And we never talked this long ever. So another good opportunity.
Without one of us being hypnotized.
And guess which one that would be. Yeah, exactly.
It's been a real pleasure, John.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. You know that.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. It's cool. Dave, he's responsible for this whole thing.
All right.
So thank him because this would not be happening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. All right, cool. I'm going to press the button. Don't get scared. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay. Oh, I pressed the wrong button.
Still here.
Oh, no, I killed. All right, we're going to have to do an edit. Okay. All right. Our guest was Dan LaRosa, John Peckman Podcast. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Come over the bridge. Go over this one set of lights, look left. And thanks for coming. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming, Dan.
Thank you,
Drive
John.
safe. You got it. Drive safe, kids. Thanks. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.